Today we'll be looking at the poem of British singer-songwriter Amy Winehouse, who unfortunately left us at the age of 27. Now, if we see here, at the age of 30, there is one line from the heartline cutting the headline into the lower Mars area. So whenever this happens, this means that the person, they let some decision of the heart interfere with their head. Then the line goes towards the lower Mars, which is the area of aggression, which is the area of fire. So then something bad happens. So this means that at 30, here it can also be 27, which can coincide with the death of her. But here, if we see, it's around 30 that she would make a bad decision which would impact her physically and would lead to bad health, etc. And there, so this can also be pointing towards her death early on. If we also take it a bit backwards, so it can be 28, 27 if we time it a bit backwards, because it's not exactly 30, it's exactly 30 here. So if we time it, we can see that the death can be at 28, 27. So this could also point towards the death. Death is not always seen in palmistry, but sometimes it can be seen. But even if we see, if it coincides, if we see the lifeline which is not strong, which is very weak, this means she had a weak constitution. She should have refrained from alcohol and smoking. She didn't have that strong antibodies within her, even though she has a bit of a strong Mars line, but that's also not that strong. So if we see that the lifeline is full towards the end, so this means that the lifeline does not show death. So some things can show death, like suppose the fate line suddenly stops at some certain age, that means that the death can be shown. So sometimes the death can be shown, sometimes it can't. But overall, we see here that the fate line is also continuing into the 30s, and it's very strong in the 30s. Overall, let's see the personality now. We see that the fate line is starting from the lower moon mount, and so the moon mount, when it starts from there, it means that the person needs public approval to go ahead. Like suppose you're an advertiser, so you can't get your project approved until it is like approved by the client, approved by the editor, etc. So this way the musician needs their album approved by the agent, then approved by the producer, then approved by the audience. So this is how the singers go into the limelight. If we see here, we see the heartline is starting from the Saturn mount, and it's very low set. So this means that the person thinks more with their head, and they're less emotional in life. So, and if you see the headline, it's going extremely straight. So the person is very logical, and the person is also a money maker. We see that there's a very strong Mercury line going here. So as I mentioned before, that if a person doesn't have a strong fate line or sun line but has a Mercury line, they make a lot of money in their young age, in their 20s itself. So she did make a lot of money in her 20s. And if we see here that there is one single line here, so this means one single talent. And also in the book Professional Palmistry, Palmistry for Professional Purposes, it was mentioned that if there is one single line on the Saturn mount, that means exceptional luck. So she might have been exceptionally lucky in her lifetime. If we see her fingers now the fingers are very important. If we see, first of all, there is sensitive padding over the fingers. So when there's sensitive padding over the fingers, this means that the person is very sensitive. This is also shown by the head and lifeline being joined for a very long while. So the person is sensitive, and like things can get to her. She thinks a lot what other people think about her, and the fingers are not straight. Especially the Apollo finger is curved and the Saturn finger is curved. So this leads to an imbalance. Like if the fingers are straight, that means that the person is straightforward. The person is not confused in life about what they want. But when the fingers are curved, this means that the fingers are feeding off each other's energy. So this means that the person is confused about what they want in life. So especially if the Saturn finger is curved, so this means that the person, this is the balance wheel. The Saturn finger is the balance wheel. This means that the person has an imbalance emotionally. We also see the Jupiter finger is low side, so the person has self-esteem issues. The person is not a leader. The person is a follower. We see that the Apollo finger is long. The person has artistic taste. The person has artistic talent. So talent is there. Our talent is also shown by the, now if we see the moon mount, the talent is shown by the moon mount, but it's very developed, the lower moon mount. Now when the lower moon mount is very developed, this means that the person needs that alcohol, needs cigarettes, needs things to keep her emotionally alive. So this leads to addiction. So this is called the mount of addiction. So there's also maybe a via lasciva here, which also is mark of addiction. But overall, if you see that the lower moon mount is very developed, so this also leads to morbid thoughts, depressive thoughts. So the thinking is also affected when the lower moon mount is developed. So the thinking is affected, and the person might be very morbid thoughts, depressive thoughts and such. These come to the subject. And then we see that Venus mount is also not strong. So what happens is that a person who really loves life, who is a lover of life, who will never take her own life or never succumb to alcohol poisoning, has the Venus mount very developed, fulsome. But here we see that the Venus mount is narrow, and the lifeline is making it even more narrow. So the Venus mount is narrow, so this person doesn't have a love of life. They don't love life like you and I love life, like we really like to live. We like bright colorful colors. So this person is morbid, they like black colors, they like the darkness, they like the depressive thoughts. So these both mounts, Venus and moon, are contributing to her early death. As you can see, mounts also point towards early death. And if we see that the Apollo mount, although the Apollo mount is taking space, that is only taking space because the person has artistic talent, which is shown by the long Apollo finger. So the person is talented a lot, but the Venus mount should also be equally developed so that the person has a love of life. We also see the thumb is very fixed. It's not flexible. If we see, it's maybe a bit, but no, it's very fixed. Like if we see here, it's a bit flexible, but mostly it's fixed. So the person is stubborn, so the person doesn't listen a lot. The phoenix eye is there, so the person has interest in the occult things. And the thumb is also very close to the fourth finger. So this means that the person is not generous with their money. The person is very highly strung. So this also leads to those problems. I would say the thumb is like semi-flexible. It is a bit flexible, but overall it's clinging close to the finger. So this person is not open with their emotions. They're very, close to only a few people. This is also shown by the Saturnian heartline. So this means that the person only reveals their emotions to certain people. But overall, drug addiction is shown on the hand. Alcohol poisoning, yes, it is shown on the hand. And making bad decisions is also shown on this line, which is going and cutting the headline and going into the lower Mars, which is the area of aggression and the area of making impulsive decisions. So overall, this hand is very talented, and I would say talented in the dark realm. Like if imaginings are to be dark poetry, dark lyrics, then this hand is very talented. But to make sunshine, make hay when the sun shines, these type of things, the bright colors, etc., there is no brightness, there is no love of life. So due to this lack of love of life and these things, this led to the early death. But money is shown by the Mercury line. Money is shown, talent is shown, but a dark and depressive thinking is shown. So this is why we lost her sadly too early. Maybe if she had pushed through life, and she would have even been more famous later on, because the fate line in the 30s becomes even stronger. So, but sadly we lost her early, and just like many people we lost at 27, like Kurt Cobain. It's very sad that such talented people we lose so early. So that's all for the palm reading. Thank you for the person who suggested it, and please don't forget to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Don't forget to share this video if you like it, and goodbye.